We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying Kathopanishad, chapter 1. We have finished chapter 1, section 2. We are in the third section and we're going to begin. We started last week, the first verse. Today we are going to continue. Kathopanishad is a very beautiful Upanishad and it teaches us the essence of Vedanta, which is Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Whenever you're studying Upanishads, you must keep this sentence at the back of your mind. Anywhere, anytime you want to study Upanishad, this sentence must be at the back of your mind. This is given in Brahmananda. It's given in one text, and it is the essence behind all the Upanishads. Now, what is the meaning of this sentence? Brahma Satyam means there is something which is not visible to the eyes. It is not pratyaksham, which is what we call it as God. In the religious terms, in philosophy, we call it Brahman. So all of us, first of all, must accept the fact there is something which is invisible. I have never seen it. I will never see it in the future also because it is not pratyaksh. I can only know it through the Veda and I can claim that Brahman as my intrinsic nature. Brahman means consciousness. It means it exists independent of the world. It is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, as Taittiriya Upanishad defines Brahman. We are going to study one very important verse in this section, and where we will see the definition of Brahman as per Kathopanishad. That verse is Ashabdam Asparsham Arupam. That is exactly what I'm trying to explain to you now. Ashabdam means I cannot hear. Words cannot describe. Arupa means my eyes cannot see it. What are we discussing? We are discussing consciousness, which is called as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Together is called as Brahman. If any of you are not able to understand this aspect which I'm discussing, you can put a note in the chat box and I will try to explain it to you again. Because this is the essence. So whenever we study the Upanishads, we must understand that this is what we are trying to gather from the study. So this consciousness is not visible, but it is our nature. What are the features of this consciousness? That is what Nachiketa wanted to know. He asked this question to Yamadharmaraja. He asked the question in the first section, 20th mantra. I always will repeat this because these are important mantras of Kathopanishad. First chapter, first section, 20th mantra. Is there anything after death? Some people say there is something, some people say there is nothing. What is the ultimate? We are not talking about the Jiva who is born and gone. Again, he'll be born. We are not talking of that. That is Vyavaharika. We are talking about Paramarthika Satyam. That means a higher nature, not only for me, but also for the entire universe. That was the question raised in 1:120. And then the second time the question was raised in 1:2:14. Anyatra dharma, anyatra adharma. Is there anything which is beyond action and inaction? Between right, between right and wrong, between sin and virtue. And the last thing is between time and time, between time of the past, between the time of the future, is there any? The answer to this question is the entire Upanishad. If you can meditate on this aspect, one aspect, I will tell you what is it. Consciousness, the nature of consciousness is nityam, nitya chaitanyam. Try to understand the deep significance of this word nityam. This will get you to moksha. Repeatedly thinking about this nitya vastu called Brahman, called Chaitanyam, called Satyam, called Anantam is our nature. Nityam. Nityam means there is no death for this. See, Lord Yama is talking about something which is deathless. Try to get this point very clearly. Otherwise, you won't understand Kathopanishad. Is there anything beyond our Vyavaharika life? In the Vyavahara, it is Jagrata Avastha, Swapna Avastha, and Sushupti Avastha. This is the Mandukya language. Is there anything beyond the three states? In Mandukya, it says it is the fourth state, it is called as Turiya. Here in Kathopanishad, it is being said that there is something which is called as Brahman. The same Turiyam is called as Brahman in Kathopanishad. This Brahman is beyond death and beyond birth. Body is born, body goes away. But they're not the body, we are talking about consciousness, which is always there. It's a very, very subtle topic, very abstract topic, but our intellect, if it is purified, will understand this, will claim this as our nature. So purity of the mind is very, very important. Some of you will say, yes, I understand this very easily because that's what I am. Especially, you should try to bring back your sleep experience now in the waking state. You're not sleeping, but you're trying to experience what did I experience in my sleep state? Invariably, you will say, I never experienced anything, but I also knew that there was nothing in the world. Therefore, if I can make that statement, you can make that statement. There must be a consciousness factor which is invisible and which is what is called as Nityam. That Nitya Vastu is the central theme of Kathopanishad. All the verses which we are studying is trying to reveal this Nitya Nirvikara Swarupa Atma. Okay, so that is what is the essence behind our study. Now let us go to where we stopped last week, and that is the first section, the first verse of the third section. See here, what we are trying to say is just to go back, recollect what is the verse which we are talking about. The verse number 1 talks about two birds which are in one tree. The same thing we studied in Kathopanishad. In Kathopanishad also, we studied this in the third section. In the Kathopanishad, we studied in the second chapter, second section, first verse, Kathopanishad. So here it is the third section of the first chapter. Same topic, exactly the same type of meanings you should derive. So in our body, this is an important aspect when you are trying to realize Atma in your own body. All of us must understand to realize this Atma or Brahman or Turiyam. We don't have to go to Samadhi. We don't have to go to Vaikuntha or Shivaloka. After death, go to heaven. No. Upanishads say you realize this pure consciousness as your nature here and now. So in this body, there is the body is gross body, made up of gross 5 elements. Mind is made up of subtle elements. Before the Panchikaranam, before the grossification of the elements, the subtle element forms the mind. This mind keeps on traveling from body to body. This mind keeps traveling from waking state to dream state to sleep state. And then it rests in Turiyam, Atma, Brahman. Again, it comes back to the waking state, dream state, sleep state. So when you look at Atma, Atma is consciousness. It is nothing to do with the mind. Mind only gets a reflection of that pure consciousness. Try to pick this point. Pure consciousness does not have a mind. Gross body is gross, it is inert by nature, intrinsically. In between the gross body and the pure consciousness, there is something which is called as the mind, invisible in nature. That mind is called as Chaya. In this particular, the first verse here, it is called as Chaya. It is also called as Maya. What is this? What is this Chaya? Is the very, very intriguing factor, which very difficult for us to understand, because the nature of this mind depends on the invisible Karana Sharira. Try to understand the theory behind this whole gross body, subtle body, and the causal body. I'm trying to bring the Tattvabodha lesson into this verse. If you don't bring that, you will not understand this verse because it's a very subtle verse. It is going very deep. And in order to understand, we must remember that this is very, very important. So this chaya is the essence behind the jiva. It is the ego factor. This ego factor is what is called as our soul. In Brahma Sutra, I have given the reference here. The first chapter of Brahma Sutra, second Adhikaranam and third Adhikaranam, 11 and 12 verses. I've given the actual verse here. It talks about this because, see, this verse is difficult to understand and therefore it is selected in the Brahma Sutra. See, what does Brahma Sutra contain? It has got 555 sutras like this. And wherever there is a controversy which is possible, we come to know wherever there's a it is taken up in Brahma Sutra. So there are two birds. One is a Jivatma bird, another is the Paramatma bird. Jivatma bird is the mind with reflected consciousness. Paramatma bird is the original consciousness. That is what is being described, Jivatma and Paramatma. Jivatma is Anekam. Anekam means many jivas are there because many bodies are there. So, gross body contains the jiva. It's a very divine jiva. You see that we don't know that we are a divine principle in this body because there is consciousness attached to it. Paramatma, the original consciousness, which is called as Brahman, which is called as Turyam, that is the second factor in our body. Jiva is Anekam, Paramatma is Ekam. Jiva is Anityam, Paramatma is Nityam. Jivatma is Savikaram, Nityam means permanent, Anityam means temporary. Savikaram means with modifications, Nirvikaram means without modifications. Okay, so these are the factors which we must remember between the two birds which are there in the body. So consciousness pervades both the gross matter as well as the subtle matter. There is one consciousness alone which exists. That is my Swarupa. Swarupa means what? I am always there. Whether I know it or I don't know it, I am of the nature of consciousness. Nobody has taught to you, except when you come to the study of Upanishads. The Upanishads will reveal your nature to you. Everybody knows I am the body. Everybody knows I am the mind. But nobody knows I am the consciousness in this body. This consciousness is sentient. Sentient means what? I am aware, awareful. I am able to understand the world. I'm able to see my body. That seeingness, hearingness in this body is called as the sentiency. The knowing factor. Our ears are knowing it, but then the ear is only an instrument. So we must understand that there is this consciousness which gets reflected in this body in the subtle mind, like the tungsten in a bulb. See, you all know the tungsten. Now, that tungsten is what glows. and then you get the bright light in the room. In a dark room, you just on the switch, and suddenly you find the light flooding the room. It envelops the whole room. So, similarly, our mind is like a tungsten filament. Only when you come to Vedanta and study Upanishads and Thoboda, you come to realize what a beautiful creation this is. If you accept what Veda says, you will admire this creation. You will admire God. Because this is something which is so beautiful. So this tungsten, this mind gets the reflection of consciousness, and then the whole body and mind becomes sentient. So that reflection is the enveloping factor of the body. First, the mind gets enlivened. Once the mind gets enlivened, then it enlivens the inert body. Okay. Vaamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manashashtanendriyani prakrtistani karshati. Very beautiful words of chapter 15. Chapter 15 is a very beautiful chapter which is chanted. The whole chapter is chanted before meals when you go to an ashram. But here, one verse we are taking up. Here, the Lord says, my own amsha is there in every jeev. What is that amsha? It is the reflected consciousness in every mind. That reflected consciousness is the Paramatma portion in this body. With this, what happens? The Prakriti, which consists of the five sense organs, they get enlivened. This is the science behind the body revealed by the Vedas. So a body is a living body when it has got an original consciousness and reflected consciousness. The body becomes dead body once the reflected consciousness leaves the body. So this tungsten-like mind is the factor which decides whether we are alive or whether we are dead. This is comparable to the shadow and light. Shadow is the reflected consciousness, the ego I. The original I, which is the cause of the shadow, is Paramatma. That Paramatma has independent existence, whereas the Jivatma has got a dependent existence. What I'm telling you now has got a very big significance in Vedanta. When you study other Upanishads, a little bit more detail about this Satyam and Mithya, these two words can give you moksha. But your mind has to be ready to go very deep into this concept of Satyam and Mithya. So unless and until, and where does the Mithya rise from? Where does the mind rise from? Mayye vasakalam jatam vayi sarvam pratishtitam. Taittiriya Upanishad. Mind rises from Atma. Mind resolves into Atma. What is an Atma? Atma is the it is this substratum from where even Akasha is coming, even the mind is coming, the total world comes out from this Brahman, the total body, the mind comes from this Atman. Atman and Brahman are the same consciousness. Therefore, that consciousness is the divine factor in this body. Body is a temple where Shiva is there. Shiva is situated in our hearts, in our mind. We can do puja to that Shiva in our own mind and in our own mentally, you can do a Shiva puja. You can chant the Shiva puja stotra and then do the archana of Lord Shiva, mental archana. Mentally, you can pour all the oblations. So this Garbha which is called as the mind, is where the Atma is present. What are these Jivatma and Paramatma doing in this mind? That is what is explained in this verse number 1. The Jivatma is connected with the Karana Shariram, which has got the Punyam and Papa. The mind is always connected with the causal body. Both are invisible. The mind is invisible, the causal body, the Punya Papam is invisible, Atma is invisible, reflected consciousness is invisible. See how deep the Vedantic study goes. It takes so many invisible factors and explains to us how to proceed from the gross body to the invisible portion of this universe. So one bird is eating the fruits, means every day in the morning we get up, we go into the world, we perform actions, and then we get results of action. The result of action is either punyam or papam. Either we are happy or we are sad. This is what is the whole life. And this is what is called as samsara. Whose karma phalam is being enjoyed? The jiva's karma phalam. The jiva who is connected with the mind, and that mind which is connected with the body, that jiva is the one bird which is functioning in the world. But this bird cannot function unless until the Paramatma is there along with it. In the same shariram, in the same tree, there is a bird perched in the higher branch. As per Mundakopanishad, the same thing is said in Kathopanishad also. What it says is, Paramatma, the original consciousness, is not at all involved. It is the Sakshi principle in this body. So if I can rise from this ego mind and myself, I am the Sakshi, I am not the ego, I am not the Ahamkara, I am the Sakshi. If I can claim this in my meditation, then even when I'm doing Vyavahara, in during actions, when I'm doing actions in the world also, I will be able to say, I am always free. If I say I am the ego, I will never be free because ego in the body is always attached to the gross body. Gross body has got raga and dvesha, which are expressed in the form of actions. So the jiva, that means that is never free, whereas Paramatma is always free. I told you about Mundaka Upanishad. This is the mantra. Dva Suparna Srayuja Sakhaya Samanam Vriksham Parishasta Chate. Same meaning. So if you understand, we have done Mundaka Upanishad before, therefore we can understand this mantra also. In Mundaka Upanishad, two birds were taken, the Jiva bird and the Paramatma bird. Jiva bird is the one who is the who enjoys karma palam. Paramatma is the witness who is the witness of this Jiva bird, which is enjoying. Brahma Vidaha Vadanti. Brahma Vidaha Vadanti means wise people, they teach us, they tell us about these two birds. The Jiva bird is the Karta bird, Bhokta bird, whereas the Paramatma is the Sakshi bird, Abhokta bird, Karta bird, Nitya, Nityaha, Shuddhaha. It is always pure because it has no punya. So Jnani talks about Paramatma Swarupam, Ajnani always talks about Jiva Swarup. That is the difference between when you study Vedanta and we don't study Vedanta. So when you study Vedanta, what happens? When you study Vedanta, you become aware of this pure nature of our existence. Then there is towards the end of this mantra, it talks about, and also in the next mantra, it talks about the Nachiketa ritual. Now, rituals are done by the Jivatma, the Chaya. So don't forget the Chaya. Chaya means it is a shadow. It is a shadow. It is it. Why do we call it as a shadow? What is the significance by calling it Chaya? Chaya cannot exist by itself. It requires the original person. A shadow is formed only when the original substance is there. Now, here we are talking about a jiva who does rituals in this world. Grihasthas, they maintain 5 types of fire according to the Veda. If you study the Veda Purva Bhaga, it talks about Gargyapatya Agni, Ahavaniya Agni, Dakshina Agni, Sabya Agni, and so on. So these are rituals. See, for every ritual, you require the fire. That fire which is taken up, which lights the ritual homa kunda, it is given different names. Names are given. It is different fire which is used for daily agnihotra at home, for doing pitru karmas. You have a different fire. For cremation, there is a different fire. For rituals, we have a different fire. In the olden days, there used to be one fire which is always lit in the house. Always. At the time of marriage, you get a fire. After the marriage, you take a fire and it is kept at the house, which protects the house throughout the life of the individual. From that fire, you take another fire and then you light up during your for rituals. For your from that fire, you take it for uh, your Agnihotra, daily Agnihotra. From that fire, you can use it even for cremation. So that is all about the first verse. It is a description about what are the two birds which are in this body. Now let's move on to the next verse.
यः सेतुरीजानानाम् अक्षरं ब्रह्म यत्परम् अक्षरं ब्रह्म यत्परम् अभयं तितीर्षतां पारम् अभयं तितीर्षतां पारं नाचिकेतं शकेमहि नाचिकेतं शकेमहि.
So here, Yamadharmaraja, he reminds us of the Nachiketa ritual which was taught to Nachiketa, and he reminds here about that ritual. So here, what it says is this Nachiketa ritual will take you to Brahmaloka, which is the loka of immortal. It is where the immortal Brahman resides. It is a fearless loka. That means Abhayam is there. And that is what you need to cross the ocean of samsara. See, ocean of samsara means how do I cross dukkham in my life? I have sorrow in my life. How to cross that sorrow? And that is explained by saying that you perform the Chiketa ritual, you will reach heaven, and so on. Now, in this topic or going forward, there are three topics, main topics, which are going to be talked about. From now on, from third verse on, we are going to talk about three topics. One is who is the traveler, the Jivatma, who is a Karta and Bhokta. He is the traveler of this, the traveler in the journey. Then what are the destinations? The destination, the goal of the travel. What is the destination of travel? It is two things which we learned in the second chapter, Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyas means you follow dharma and you follow moksha. There are four goals of every jiva: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Preyas means artha and kama. So suppose you pursue the path of artha and kama, it is the preya marga. Now, the path by which these are the two destinations, final destinations. By doing actions, you can reach any of these four destinations. And what are the two main margas, main highways? The main highway, one is called as karma marga, another is called as jnana marga. So we are going to discuss these three broad sections in our entire study of the third section. Now, in the case of animals, they have kartrutvam and bhoktrutvam, but it is overpowered by their instinct. They don't have a well-developed mind and a well-developed reflex consciousness. That is why they are inferior compared to the human beings. Human beings have got a better reflection of consciousness and they have a purer mind. Therefore, they have a willpower. They can decide, I can do this, I need not do this. So by doing this Nachiketa ritual, one crosses the realm of samsara and reaches the realm of consciousness. How to reach this Brahman? What is the definition of Brahman in this Upanishad? It says it is Aksharam, Param Brahma Jnanam. This is Jnana Swarupam. Jnana Swarupam means it is the nature of consciousness. Consciousness means awareness. So, Nachiketa chose the Shreya Marga. He chose not the pleasant one, but the good path. Pleasant path, everybody chooses. We all choose the pleasant path. So there are two paths, the Shreya Marga and Preya Marga. Shreya Marga is the correct path. So if your mind is purified, you will choose the Shreya Marga. Shreya Marga is what leads to Dharma and Moksha. Preya Marga is leads to Artha and Ka. What decides this Shreya Marga and Preya Marga? You see, these are all theories. These are all philosophies. When you look at your own life, you will find that you have raga and dvesha. I have liking towards certain things. I have no likes towards certain things. It is the raga and dvesha which is controlled by the rajoguna, which decides which marga we take. Suppose you are attached to Atma, then you are not bothered about what marga, all that the body is taking up and all that. You are completely always immersed in the thought, I am the Atma, I am the pure conscious. But all this we are studying from the viewpoint of a Ajnani, who doesn't know the Atma, who is in the process of learning about Atma. Now, next, let's go to the third verse.
आत्मानं रथितं विद्धि आत्मानं रथितं विद्धि शरीरं रथमेव तु शरीरं रथमेव तु बुद्धिं तु सारथिं विद्धि बुद्धिं तु सारथिं विद्धि मनः प्रग्रहमेव च मनः प्रग्रहमेव च.
From this verse till the ninth verse, that means there are 7 verses, we are going to talk about the example of Ratha Kalpana, chariot example. This is a very, very important example in Kathopanishad. So Kathopanishad has got 2 examples. One is about the 2 birds. The second example is this chariot example. The chariot example starts from this 3rd verse and it goes on till the 9th verse. In the chariot, which is called as the body, the Atma is the lord of the chariot. It is the control of this chariot. The body is controlled by Atma, which is the pure. Here, Atma means Paramatma. Now, he is present in this body, which is the chariot. Now, the other aspects of the chariots are being described. The intellect is the charioteer. Intellect is the jiva who is holding the chariot. He is holding the mind is the holder of the 5 sense organs. The 5 sense organs are like the horses. I will explain to you as we go by. So in this mantra, we are, we are talking about what are the ideal conditions for the successful spiritual journey. So the chariot is the physical body. The chariot can decay, it can break down like a car, it can break down. The body also can decay and break down. It is always deteriorating. The horses are the sense organs. The sense organs are 5 in number. The horses are 5 in number. The eyes, the ears, the tongue, the skin, all these are the instruments for experiencing the world. Who's holding these instruments? It is the mind. Who is holding those horses? The intellect is holding the horses. Mind and intellect is the same. Upanishad also gives the same example with reference to the chariot. Very similar example. where it talks about all the organs in the body, including the prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. These are all the pranic forces which identify with the body and they keep the body, they maintain the body. The, the, the mind is full of desires. It will take the body to different corners of the world. Some people want to go for a world tour. Why? Because it is a desire in the mind. No harm in it. You can go and see the world. But here, how it happens is being described. The charioteer is the driver, the intellect, the buddhi, which controls the body, which controls the movement of the indriyas. Gatasu na gatasu nanu rochanti panditaha. In the second chapter, 11th verse, the Lord Krishna talks about why are you grieving over something Atma? Body is born, body will die. But then you don't know there is Atma in this body. So don't grieve neither for the dead, neither for the living. Don't grieve. Very powerful verse of the Bhagavad Gita, the very first verse of the teaching of Lord Krishna. The master in the chariot is the traveler seated behind. That means the Yajamana. The Jiva is the Yajamana. Jiva is a common name used for all. The Jiva is the mind, the Jiva is the sense organs, Jiva is the body, Jiva is the Buddhi, Jiva is the Manaha. But here Jiva has a special meaning. It is the Yajamana. For example, in a ritual, the person who conducts the ritual is the Yajamana. Now, Yajamana in this case is the Chid Abhasa, which is a reflected conscious portion in the mind. See, mind cannot remain by itself. Mind is always a mixture of reflected consciousness and the material subtle mind. The subtle mind has got the punya papam, and therefore it has got raga and dvesha. Because of raga and dvesha, the reflected consciousness only helps to become aware and take actions. Buddhim to sarathim vidhi. Know that intellect is the driver who knows, who has got the knowledge of the path. So even in our life, if your intellect is sharp, if you are able to develop your intellect by chanting, by parayanam, by different religious methods, what will happen is your intellect will be sharp. You try to see all your friends who are very religious. You will find most of the people, they are all having very pure intellect, especially people who chant Rudram, who chant Chamakam, who chant all the shlokas, Bhagavad Gita. What happens when you keep chanting all those things? Your mind becomes pure. What is the meaning of mind becoming pure? Your raga dvesha will come down. That is what is called as the purity of mind. So, what gives security in life, what gives peace in life is not the money which you hold, but it is the mind which you are carrying with you. If your intellect has got the Viveka Shakti, it is not easy to get this Viveka Shakti. Viveka in Kathopada means understanding what is real and unreal. Real means Atma, which is always there. Unreal means the mind. The one who knows the difference between mind and the Atma, he is the one who is ready for this knowledge. Manaha pragraham evacha. Mind should hold the reins. That means the mind is the one which controls the sense organs. So if your sense organs are under control, what happens is then your horses, which are the sense organs, they become controlled. Four factors must be healthy for us to have a good spiritual journey. What are the four factors? The body should be healthy. How to keep the body healthy? By doing some pranayama, by doing certain asanas, you can keep your body healthy. This is where Ashtanga Yoga is very useful. It keeps your body fit and it can withstand the diseases. See, body by nature will have diseases. That is the nature of the five elements. Body is nothing but five elements. But what makes a difference if I keep practicing Hatha Yoga? Hatha Yoga is a very big term. It basically means doing some simple exercises, Surya Namaskara, and doing some pranayama and so on. Why do we do this? To keep this body fit. So one of the conditions is your body must be fit. Second condition is the sense organs. Damaha. In Kathoboda language, you should have Damaha. Sense organs must be able to be obedient to what you want to do. 90%, 99% of the times, the sense organs, they control us because of our very high level of raga and dvesha. Where are they situated? Situated in the sense organs. Mind. Emotional sanity and psychological balance is required because if you're always having anxiety about the future, you have regrets of the past, you will not be able to understand. See, all these factors we are talking about with reference to the chariot. Don't forget, when the chariot has to reach the destination of moksha, the chariot should be healthy. If the chariot is healthy, sense organs are healthy, mind is healthy, intellect. When it comes to intellect, when it comes to mind, you should be in control of your emotions. See, we all get carried away by the world because we are not able to control our emotions. Take control over your emotional balance. They should not hijack our discriminative power. What happens is whenever your emotions are not controlled, are not under control, you lose your discriminative capacity. You don't know what is right and wrong. So going by your mind is a problem. You must use your intellect. What does the intellect have? It has got Viveka Shakti, which is the discriminative power at any point of time. See, these are all lessons. This chariot example is very beautiful, even in uh, very, very level training programs, corporate training programs. They use this Ratha Kalpana. This chariot example is used even to explain to the executives at a corporate level also. Keep your emotions in control, keep your intellect. If your intellect is sharp, you will have Viveka Shakti and Medha Shakti. Medha Shakti means you have memory power. You won't forget what you have studied. So, what Veda says is don't follow blindly whatever Veda tells you. Question. Question yourself. That is why Mananam is important, Nididhyasana is. Shravanam only tells you to hear about what Veda is saying. But you need to have Mananam and Nididhyasana. Guru converts the knowledge into words. What he does is there are three sciences which are important in the study of Shastra. Vyakarana Shastram, Mimamsa Shastram, Tarka Shastram. Vyakarana means knowing the language. Mimamsa how to analyze what I'm reading. Tarka means logical thinking. So all these are involved in the for the intellect to choose the Shreya Marga, not the Preya Marga. The 60th chapter, Daivasura Sampad Yoga, talks about the divine nature of our liberation. To have moksha, you need divine qualities. That is what is said in this verse of verse number 5. 5. Daivi sampatti mokshaya nibandha yasuri mata ashucha sampadam daivim abhijatosi pandava. Develop divine qualities so that you can be in the spiritual. There is a word which is used here, arjavam. Arjavam means harmonization of what your harmonization between your mind, intellect, and the body. Normally, if they are not in harmony, what will happen? Your mind will say something, body will do something, your intellect will talk about right and wrong. If they are not, if they have to be in alignment, the thought, word, and deed, actions, they must be in synchronization in order to reach the final destination. Kathopanishad teaches us what is this chariot used for? What should we use our body in this life? Many people, they don't even know. Unless you come to Vedanta and study Upanishad, then you know there is something called as moksha. And then we have to get ready. You have to prepare for this moksha and understand that moksha is a science. Exactly like how you do objective science, this is where you do subjective science. Here also, there is a lot of effort required, clarity. It's like doing a PhD. If you study Mandukya Upanishad, it is like studying for a PhD course. By the time you come to the fourth chapter of Mandukya Upanishad, there is so many theories and concepts and analysis. It's mind-boggling analysis. Okay, coming back to Kathopanishad, the fourth verse, we will now read.
इन्द्रियाणि हयानाहुः इन्द्रियाणि हयानाहुः विषयांस्तेषु गोचरान् विषयांस्तेषु गोचरान् आत्मेन्द्रियमनोयुक्तम् आत्मेन्द्रियमनोयुक्तम् भोक्तेत्याहुर्मनीषिणः भोक्तेत्याहुर्मनीषिणः.
So we are studying this chariot example further. Till the ninth verse, we are going to study the chariot example. And in this chapter, there are 17 verses. So totally 17 verses. Up to the verse is we are talking about the chariot example and how this chariot can be compared to the Jiva's journey, this Jiva's spiritual journey. Here we are talking about where are these horses going? They are riding on the roads, and the roads are what? They are the sense objects. Horses are the indriyams, sense organs, ear, skin, eyes, tongue, and nose. For each of these indriyas, there is a certain road. In that road they can travel. So there are 5 horses and there are 5 roads. One road is for shabda, sound. Ears can only hear the sound. The skin can only touch and feel. Eyes can only see form and color. The tongue can only taste, it cannot hear the sound. The nose can only smell the flowers, smell the ground on a rainy day. So, Indriyani Hayan Hayuhu. Hayuhu means they drag. Indriyani means a sense organ. Hayan means the horses. The sense organs, they drag the sense objects to the mind. So the five sense organs are dragging the jiva, who is the bhokta, who is the traveler in this body, to the sense objects, which is the field, the kshetram. The 13th chapter of Gita talks about kshetram. What is the kshetram? The same five roads. So the jiva, who is a karta, who is a doer of action and enjoyer of action, because he has got the chid abhasa, he enlivened in this body and runs towards the objects in the world. Now, this is the normal tendency of the sense organs. What Vedanta says is turn the direction from the external world to this Sakshi, which is the illuminator, the consciousness of the mind and sense organs. Atmendriyo manoyuktam bhokte kyahur manishinaha. It is the mind which has got the chid abhasa. It becomes the enjoyer in the waking state and the dream state. Waking state is useful for certain prarabdha karmas which have to be fulfilled. Dream state is for the another bunch of karmas which we fulfill in the dream. In the sleep state, the body relaxes. All the sense organs, the mind, the intellect, they all are tired of being a karta and a bhokta. They come to rest. Okay. Now, the next two verses tells us when you study the Veda, you will get the knowledge of the destination. See, destination for a normal human being is only artha and kama. Artha means money, wealth. All types of wealth. Kama means entertainment. All types of entertainment. For Ajnani, these are the only goals of life. But for a Jnani, he has got two other goals, Dharma and Moksha. That is being described now in the 5th and the 6th verse.
यस्त्वविज्ञानवान् भवति यस्त्वविज्ञानवान् भवति अयुक्तेन मनसा सदा अयुक्तेन मनसा सदा तस्येन्द्रियाण्यवश्यानि तस्येन्द्रियाण्यवश्यानि दुष्टाश्वा इव सारथे दुष्टाश्वा इव सारथे.
So, first, Yamadharmaraja teaches Nachiketa what happens if you are not a Jnani, what happens if you remain as Ajnani. The difference between Jnani and Ajnani is very simple. Jnani knows I am Atma. Ajnani knows I am the body, mind. So suppose you don't know Atma, then what will happen? The mind will be unrestrained. The intellect will not seek the goals of life, which is dharma and moksha. It will be taking the sense organs to the sense objects of the world as per your raga and dvesha. So mind is the vehicle you possess. If it is in your control, it is friend. If the mind controls you, it becomes an enemy because you feel, oh, I'm much disturbed by my mind all the time. So, unfit, sick, unhappy mind is an enemy. It gives me worries, it gives me bhayam, it gives me anxiety, anger, jealousy, greed. All that is uncontrolled mind. See, we cannot run away from our mind. Impossible. Throughout our life, we have to live with our mind. And by the study of Vedanta, the mind comes into our control. Because the more you study Vedanta, the more you become aware of your mind. Bandhuratma manastasya enatmatmanasjitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvate. Sixth chapter is a beautiful chapter to study your mind. Meditation chapter of Bhagavad Gita. There the Lord says, the self is the friend, one who has conquered his mind. For one who has not conquered his mind, the self is the enemy. It comes in also in Amrit Bindu Upanishad. Same message is coming from this message of Bhagavad Gita is from Amrit Bindu Upanishad. How to know whether my mind is under proper control or not? First of all, try to see whether you are able to study your mind. It's a practice. It is a deliberate practice for a Vedantic student. You have to practice the control of your mind if you want to reach the goal of moksha. Without the control of mind means without being awareful of your mind. You see, mind still will go out of control because that is the nature of them. But what happens to a jnani? He knows that my mind has taken me for a ride yesterday and I was deluded. I got caught up in samsara. He is aware. Not while the mind is taking him away from the world, away to the world. That time everybody is a samsara. But the jnani knows that his continuously he keeps alert to make sure that we don't go through a lifestyle where karma takes control over the body and mind. It is the vasanas. They take charge of my body. They take charge of my mind. Vasanas means our raga dvesha. Raga dvesha is not visible to us, but it is there. So watching the thoughts, we become aware of the words. Watching the words, we become aware of our actions. Watching our actions, we become aware of our habits. Repeatedly, you do the same action again and again, it becomes your habit. You are watching, you are researching. When you watch your habits, what happens? Then you see you are a good character or a bad character. When you watch your character, that character becomes your destiny. Destiny means you say that I am fit for. And that destiny is a biography of you. So, where does this entire cycle start? From the thoughts. The moment you're able to control at the level of thoughts, your destiny is under your control. Most of the people who are spiritual seekers, they have a fair amount of control over their mind and their thoughts. When somebody comes to Mandukya Upanishad class, I know for sure that the person, if he's enjoying the Mandukya class, means he has got a control over his mind. He's able to remain focused for 1.5 hours of the session. And then he can listen to the entire talk without any disturbance. That means you are a fit student. Similarly, in Kathopanishad also. So, with the wild horses, I can never reach my destination. That is what is the essence in the fifth month.
यस्तु विज्ञानवान् भवति यस्तु विज्ञानवान् भवति युक्तेन मनसा सदा युक्तेन मनसा सदा तस्येन्द्रियाणि वश्यानि तस्येन्द्रियाणि वश्यानि सदश्वा इव सारथेः सदश्वा इव सारथेः.
So, here in this verse, in the previous verse, he talked about the unruly mind, unruly body. So, if our chariot is going haywire into the world, it means that my mind is not under control, indriyas are not, sense organs are not under control. Therefore, the intellect is always clouded, deluded. Here, Lord Yama gives the opposite example. He says, suppose by some disciplines, you have a healthy vehicle, you have a fit component, you are called as Bhagyavan Bhavati. You have a clear goal in your mind. What is the goal? I must know Atma. One single goal for all the spiritual seekers is I must know my real nature as Atma. Till I come to know that I am the Atma and what is the nature of Atma, I will keep studying. I'll be in this spiritual path. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekehava kuru nandana. Intelligent person, no, this comes in the second chapter. There is a verse which talks about how the buddhi is, if it is controlled, it can reach the destination. Yuktene manasa sada. Yuktene manasa sada means the person, the seeker, he knows how to keep this mind always balanced. Samatvam yoga uchate. Samatvam is talked in the entire Gita. Every chapter talks about samatvam. Samatvam means balance of mind, equipoise of mind. Equipoise of mind means raga dvesha is under control. Raga dvesha is under control means what? My viveka shakti is working. My buddhi is working. Otherwise, what will happen? I will be always in samsara. What is the definition of samsara? Your mind will always be in kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada,
यस्तु
matsarya. So all these qualities, the wrong, evil qualities of the mind, they rob my peace of mind. See, whenever we have anger, what happens to us? My peace in the mind goes away, and nobody is happy when he is angry. Nobody. Why? Because our intrinsic nature is Atma. All of us, whenever we are angry, we want to come back to our normal position. The normal position is I am Atma. This anger robs me of my intrinsic peace and happiness. Samatvam yoga uchate. This is the definition of yoga in the second chapter. It says samatvam. This is the highest form of yoga. By doing karma yoga, I will have balance of mind. I will know how to live well in this world. See, the central portion of this entire Ratha Kalpana is I must keep my sense organs and mind under control. That is the central portion, central message in all these 7 verses. From 3 to 9, The central message is keep your horses, the sense organs under control, and the reins, the mind under control. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna prabha prabhavti brahmati baladrinam tasyaham vigraham anye vayoriva sudushkaram. Sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it says, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. You see, my mind is always turbulent. It is very strong. It is restless. I can never control it. It is like the wind. Who can control the wind? Nobody can control the wind. Wind will go in this direction, that direction, the storms. So we cannot control our mind with a very simple effort. It requires practice. Initially, we are bound to fail, but don't feel guilty. Again and again, tell yourself, okay, fine, my mind me for a ride, but I will be in the path. The central controller of this mind is the intellect. Don't forget, intellect is higher than the mind. The mind is higher than the sense organs. Sense organs, they go to the sense objects automatically, but the starting point is raga. And so, what are the two methods to control our mind? One is you must be able to judge and discriminate with your intellect. And second is you must have the knowledge of Shastra to choose what is the right path and the wrong. Right path will lead me to the destination, wrong path will lead me to samsara. Then, what is the role of japa? What is the role of meditation? What is the role of pilgrimages? You must clearly know. Japa, Parayanam, Dhyanam, going to Kashi, all those things are good. But for what? They are all good for Chitta Shuddhi, purification of the mind. Okay? So when we keep in touch with this type of talks, what happens is I am always able to get the right information of how to lead the life. Satsanga is extremely important for a spiritual seeker. Satsanga is the only one which will tame the mind. Never that I am waiting 1.5 hours or on a Saturday and Sunday. I could have done so many things in life, but I'm listening to Kathopanishad and Mandukya Upanishad. I give you guarantee your mind will be in control. You will have a more peaceful life and much, much more happier life because of this study of Veda. Next verse number 7.
यस्त्वविज्ञानवान् भवति यस्त्वविज्ञानवान् भवति अमनस्कः सदा शुचिः अमनस्कः सदा शुचिः न स तत्पदमाप्नोति न स तत्पदमाप्नोति संसारं चाधिगच्छति संसारं चाधिगच्छति.
Many people, they don't know, suppose you don't come to a study like this, a systematic course of Vedanta. What happens is you just follow what others are doing, and then but you don't know what is the sadhana and what is the goal of that sadhana. I've heard many people who are spiritual people who have never studied Vedanta, but they're totally lost. They do things in life, but they don't know why they are doing it. So here, Lord Dharmaraja is teaching Nachiketa that you will be in samsara, you will be having birth and death if you are not, if your goal is not moksha, you will have repeated birth and death. This is the proof. This particular verse, samsaram adi gacchati. You will have samsara if you don't get the Atma Vidya or Brahma Vidya. It's a direct proof. It says that you will be in samsara. What is samsara? Samsara is repeated birth and death. Who's teaching us this? Lord Yama is teaching us. The one who controls death in this world, he is telling us, you will be born again in this world if you are an ajnani. How to become a jnani? Study the Veda, understand the chariot example well, you will be able to go towards the goal of. So here in this verse, again he talks about those people who are do not have control over their temptations, who don't have control over their indriyas and their minds. The same thing you should remember: thoughts, words, actions, habit, character, destiny. This is the ladder of fall. If you don't control your thoughts, your destiny will not be the right destiny. You control your thoughts, you become. Control means not that you have to suppress your thoughts. No, become alert. That's all. You become alert. Say, I am Sakshi of my thoughts. I'm Sakshi of my mind. Then you will not that in unhealthy behavior. Otherwise, people will keep, see, many people, they keep on saying, oh, I'm a very unfortunate person and things like that. They will keep on talking. But I have seen people who come to Vedanta, they have a very clear mind. How do they get a clear mind? Only by the study. So, samsaram adi gacchati, those who are not under control, they do not have information about what is mastery and what is suppression. Suppression means the control of sense organs is without understanding, damming the river without releasing the water. What is mastery? Oh, Atma. I know there is a higher power in this body itself. There is a higher power. I am in touch with that higher power through the study of Upanishad. How to be in touch with your Atma? Only by the study of Upanishads. When you study the seventh mantra tomorrow of the Mandukya Upanishad, you are directly in touch with your Atma. There is no other method. Unless you study Upanishads, you can never reach your pure Atma. Next verse.
यस्तु विज्ञानवान् भवति यस्तु विज्ञानवान् भवति समनस्कः सदा शुचिः समनस्कः सदा शुचिः स तु तत्पदमाप्नोति स तु तत्पदमाप्नोति यस्माद्भूयो न जायते यस्माद्भूयो न जायते.
See, in these verses from 3 to 9, 7 verses, Lord Yama keeps comparing a jnani, ajnani, jnani, ajnani. He talks about ajnani who is not under control of sense organs and mind. He talks about jnani who is in control of sense organs and mind. Once you control your sense organs and mind, your horses are under control. You are under control of your destination. If your horses are not under control, your sense organs are not under control, mind is not under control, your destiny is never reached. That is the message in all these 7 verses. In this 8th verse, what he is saying? One who is intelligent, he is pure, and he will reach the goal. And he will never be born again. See, it is a clear proof. You know your nature as Atma, you will not be having rebirth. This is the proof. Kathopanishad 8 verse 3rd section 1st chapter tells you clearly I can get rid of samsara by studying and having Atma Vidya. So for one who knows mind is my servant, I am on the right road. Bhagavad Gita, the 2nd chapter, which talks about the fall of a human being, the ladder of fall. Those who have done the Gita will remember this verse. Raga dveshu viyuktaistu vishayam indriyascharan atma vaishya videyatma prasadi vidikachati. For the one who has controlled his mind, what is the benefit? What is the prasada? Shantam Shivam Advaita. He will always be in peace. Tat padam apnoti. Tat padam means what? Moksha padam. Moksha is guaranteed for a person who studies Kathopanishad or Mandukya Upanishad. Guaranteed. Why? Because that is the path. That is the road to, to get moksha. Study of the Upanishad is the only way to get liberation from samsara, liberation from anger, liberation from jealousy, liberation from anxieties. What's the greatness of this Parampadam? The greatness is he will never fall into samsara again. Means what? He will never have rebirth in this body again. Why he will not get rebirth? Because he will know I am the Atma which is birthless and deathless. Atma doesn't have limitations of time. What is the question of Nachiketa? Teach me something which is not in time. What is not in time? Atma is not in time. Atma is always timeless. Anything in time will change. Anything. So the one who gets this knowledge of Atma or Brahman, the pure consciousness, he's the one who finally the destination. The last mantra, verse number 7, I will just play it for you, but we'll go give the explanation next week.
विज्ञानसारथिर्यस्तु विज्ञानसारथिर्यस्तु मनः प्रग्रहवान्नरः मनः प्रग्रहवान्नरः सोध्वनः पारमाप्नोति सोध्वनः पारमाप्नोति तद्विष्णोः परमं पदम् तद्विष्णोः परमं पदम्.
The one who knows to ride the chariot of the body as prescribed by the Veda reaches the supreme place of Vishnu, the all-pervading Atman or Brahman. Vishnu Padam is Brahma Padam. What is the ultimate peace which we can realize while living on this earth? That is going to be the topic in verse number 9. We will discuss that next week. Okay. So this 9th topic, next week, we'll probably complete the 3rd section. The 15th mantra, the 15th mantra of this section is very, very important mantra. We'll take it next week. That is that Ashabdam Asparshama Rupam Gandha. Yeah. Okay, so we'll stop here. It's a very beautiful Upanishad. don't forget, Kathopanishad is known for the two birds example and the Ratha Kalpana, a chariot example. The chariot example, keep it in your fresh in your mind. Always you will remember what is the destination. The destination is pure Atma, ever free, Nityamukta Swarupaha, and that is the goal. I have to keep that as the one single goal for my spiritual study. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'll take the chat box, whatever is mentioned in chat box first. Vibhuti is asking, in this example of the chariot, there is an Atma, which is a Karta and Bhokta, and there is an Atma, which is Paramatma. He wants to know what is this difference between Jivatma and Paramatma. Very good question. See, when I look inside my body, body means what? When I look in my own mind, how do I look at my mind? When I close my eyes, first of all, I must close my eyes because I'm not used to seeing my mind. So, what is the best way to understand the mind? The best way to understand the mind for a beginner is you go to a room, preferably a dark room, put off the lights, and let a small lamp be there, like a prayer room. You let the lamp be shining there, and you are sitting there. You close your eyes and then watch what happens. Suppose I'm talking about a beginner. Suppose in your life you have never you have never known what the mind is. This is the best way to become to understand this mind and understand this Jivatma and Paramatma. Okay, I'm trying to explain what is the Jivatma and Paramatma in your own body. Because both are there. In Mundakupanishad, it says, in Kathopanishad, it says, Jivatma is there in this body, Paramatma is there in this body. How to distinguish the two? What you have to do is, you have to just let your mind think whatever it wants. Don't control. But you tell yourself, I am the Sakshi. I am the Sakshi means I am the witness of the mind. This is the only way to understand what is the Jivatma and Paramatma. What is that Karta and Bhokta in this body? What is that Paramatma, the consciousness in this body, the Sakshi in this body? This is the easiest method. Try to do it, practice it, and then you come back to me. No harm. You can come back to me 10 times also. I can explain to you step by step because this is the way to you realizing your nature. So, what you do, you close your eyes, let your mind travel. The mind will have thoughts. There is no person who doesn't have a mind with thoughts. No person. Because that is the nature. It's like I have 5 fingers. It's the nature. Similarly, I have a mind which has got thoughts. Now, what is the Jivatma thought and what is the Karma? Whenever you are witnessing something, you are experiencing an object called as a thought. That thought is Jiva. So in this body, mind is there, mind is the Jiva. But mind by itself can produce thoughts, but there will not be anybody seeing it unless the Paramatma is there. So the seer of the thought is the Paramatma. Who's seeing? Who's seeing means what? You're not seeing with your physical eyes. It is the consciousness which is seeing your thoughts. That consciousness is invisible. Your thoughts are also invisible. Mind is Sakshi Pratyaksham. Try to understand this. Mind is Sakshi Pratyaksham all the time. Throughout your life, whenever you are aware of your mind, it means that I am aware, I am the Sakshi, and I am aware of the. That Sakshi is called as Paramatma. That ego, Ahamkara, which says, I did this in the morning, I have to do this in the evening, I have to go and cook this, I have to meet a friend. All that is Ahamkara. That is the Jivatvam. It is that jiva, that mind which is in control of the sense organs in this body, and it wants to do actions. Every day you get up in the morning, you want to do this action, that action, you make a list of things to do. I have finished 8 out of 10 or 8 out of 20. I still have another 15 tomorrow. So again, you start. Okay. So Vibhuti, I'm trying to simplify your question. So, in the Kathopanishad, what Lord Yama Dharmaraja says is that everybody has got a Jivatma, which is called as Karta and Bhokta, and the Paramatma is Akarta. It is Akarta means it is never a doer. It is always at the back. The light which shines on that mind is the Paramatma, is the Paramatma. Consciousness, without consciousness, the mind cannot experience the thoughts. So, are you clear about Paramatma being not a Karta? Because it is a Sakshi. So, Vibhuti, have you understood? Can you respond to me? You can unmute yourself and you can speak up.
Yes, sir. It is clear, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, the next is from Shama. She's saying the light and the shadow and the Jivan, to the extent that we have the Sakshi, we are aware of the Atman. Remembrance is the key. Soon in time, Jiva bird rises higher and higher, sees the same light as the Atman bird. Correct, you're right. The shines the shadow, Chaya has merged into the light, simply has gained what? Okay, good. So, Shama, you have got the essence behind the Chaya and the Atman. Chaya is the Jivatma, Atman is the Atma. So what you have said is correct. Throughout our life, remembering the fact that in this body there is always the Paramatma, which is the awareness, consciousness principle, it will light up the thoughts in your mind. The thoughts is the Jivatvam, the Sakshi is the Brahmatvam or Atmatvam. If you can keep differentiating the Jiva bird and the Paramatma bird throughout your life, a time will come when you will accept the fact Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Jagan Mithya means what? Jivatvam is Mithya. Mithya means it is experienceable, but it is not factual. What is the fact? Sakshi is a fact in 3 periods of time. It never changes. It is always the same. Yesterday also I was a Sakshi. Today also I am a Sakshi. Tomorrow also I will be a Sakshi. The nature of Sakshi described in the Veda, especially in Mandukya Upanishad, is mind-boggling. In chapter 4 of Mandukya Upanishad, the highest nature of Atma is given. What is the highest nature of Atma? The highest nature of Atma is, it is Satyam. It is Satyam means it is the only independent factor in this entire universe. Try to grab, understand this point. This is, I'm telling you from chapter 4 of Mandukya Upanishad, the 50th verse in that. That is a central verse for the whole of Mandukya Upanishad, where it says, consciousness is independent of the world, of matter. Try to understand this statement. Consciousness is independent. It can exist independently. That is my real nature. How to know this consciousness? What am I in my sleep state? That is what is consciousness. It can exist by itself. It is the consciousness which is aware of the absence of the world. That is the consciousness. Matter. So this is one statement in the 50th verse of chapter 4. I'm telling you, it's so, this thought process of Shama has brought me this teaching here. So consciousness is primary. Matter is secondary. Matter comes and disappears. Comes and disappears in the waking state, disappears in the sleep state. Comes in the waking state, disappears. But consciousness is independently, it is that consciousness which Mandukya wants me to know, which Kathopanishad wants me to know. This is diametrically opposite to what science says. What does science say? Science says matter is there, consciousness keeps on coming and going. So Vedanta and science, they are totally different. Science is saying matter is predominant. Therefore, you can never get moksha by studying matter. You study Vedanta, which says consciousness is independent of matter, and you will be able to realize your free nature. What is moksha? It's only realizing I am ever free. As what? Not as this body, not as this Shama or Sumana or anybody. It is not, there's no name given to this consciousness. It is Atma. Your Atma, I am Atma. Everybody is the same Atma. In this Atma only, matter keeps on coming and going. Consciousness is Nitya Sarupa. Try to understand this. There's a final teaching of Mandukya Upanishad in the 4th chapter. Shankaracharya and Gaudapadacharya bring out this essence behind the whole teaching of all the Vedas. And they say, try to remember, if you remember this fact and your intellect is able to pick up this, then what will happen? You will say, it is consciousness is my nature. This whole world, the entire universe, it is coming and going mithya. You will understand the definition of mithya when you understand the definition of satyam. Satyam is my pure nature. If I understand satyam, I can understand mithya, which is the body, mind, and the universe. This body, mind, and universe is experienceable, it is transactable, it has got utility, but it is not satyam. That is why it is called as mithya. Brahma satyam jagan mithya jivaha brahmaiva naparaha. Jiva is this satyam consciousness. If I know this, I am immortal because it is ever there. What is the meaning of immortal? It means I am always there. Okay, good. Shama, go ahead. You have a question.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Uh, Hari Om Shekharji.
Yeah, Hari, tell me.
So basically, I mean, the chariot illustration, of course, is one of the finest that really gives a complete picture of what is happening within us, you know, all of that. What I'm intrigued is that, like, while you've got the horses, the senses, the object of the senses, you know, the Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, all of that. And then you've got the Manas, the mind, which is the reins, and the Buddhi, which is the intellect, the Sarathi. Yeah, Buddhi is the one which is running the show. Yeah.
Yes, the charioteer.
Now, the charioteer. Now, what I am surprised is how come the ahankara, you know, the antakarana, the manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, normally they are part of one, this thing. So, because the buddhi is so dependent on the ahankara, if my ahankara is, I know it already and you know, I don't need to do anything, I'm so great and good, then obviously the chariot illustration falls flat because.
Correct.
So why isn't the ahankara there in this particular, or where does it come?
Ahankara is included in the buddhi.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. See, whenever you say that ahankara, it is included in the buddhi, it is included in the manaha. We are not taking the ahankara and chitta separately in this chariot example. In this chariot
Acha.
example, without the ahankara, there cannot be a buddhi. That means
Okay.
unless there is an I, the buddhi functions on the base of I. Mind
Okay.
also functions on the base of ahamkara only. It is
Okay.
ahamkara which says this is my mind. Ahamkara is this is my buddhi. So ahamkara is at the background, but it is not mentioned separately. The Lord Yama wants to focus on your emotions when it is talking about mind. It wants to focus on Viveka Shakti when it wants to focus on the Buddhi.
Yeah. So you have illustrated that very well, that through the chariot, this thing, what we are encouraged to do is to actually systematically develop this Vivek Buddhi, Vivek Shakti or Vivek Buddhi. And you've also described very nicely as to what are we to observe. Say, if I have to be aware of my mind, how do I do it? It's by knowing what is my mind doing, what are my thoughts, what are my words, what are my actions. So if I'm observing that, it is giving me a fair idea of where am I doing.
Wrong part of me, that I, which is the ego, you know.
Yeah. So it is
If I'm
telling
able-
me exactly where I am. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that, like, so in all of this, what I want to know is where is this bit about the will, you know, the self will, the determination, the sankalpa, which part of it you have said it is can be sharpened by doing the parayanam, upasana, you know,
Yes.
because the whole idea is you're directing your will.
Correct. The willpower is a part of the Vivek Shakti.
It is part of Vivek Shakti?
It's a part of the Vivek Shakti because the more I have Viveka, the more my willpower will become better and better.
Right, right.
See, the moment I discriminate, the real Atma is always there, consciousness, which is always there, and the mind, which is always fluctuating, always fleeting. The moment I have this, what happens is my willpower increases by Viveka Shakti. When my willpower increases, then I have Vairagyam. See, Viveka leads to Vairagyam. Vairagyam means I have complete control over my Raga and Dvesha.
Okay, okay.
And then what happens? It is very easy. Then the destination is very easy. See, once you are able to control your horses, you're able to control the reins through your intellect, then you have taken the Shreya Marga, which is the right path, which is the right Marga, the Jnana Marga you have already chosen. Moksha is automatic. It is a question of only time. What Yamadharmaraja is teaching Nachiketa is, Nachiketa, you have taken the right path. You already have Vairagyam and you have Viveka. You are having a great chariot ahead of you.
Yeah.
It will teach you in the 15th verse of this third section what is that final destination which you have to know through your intellect and claim it as my Swaroop.
Yeah.
It
No,
is
I'm
the
just interested only at the moment to know how to actually be in complete control of this chariot,
yeah,
where it does not move without my this thing. And of course, I'm thinking maybe what I should also do is to time and again, just before going to sleep, to tell my horses, now look, you've done very well today, and you please rest now and let me rest.
correct.
So my
The
horses,
best
because otherwise
thought,
they're working overtime,
yeah, the
either.
best thought, the
Yeah.
best thought to have before sleep
Uh,
is I am going to be with Ishvara, the creator of this whole universe,
yeah.
when I'm in sleep.
Okay.
That is the best thought. Try to remember that thought every time you go to sleep. Every time.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And you will fall to you will automatically fall to sleep. You just I don't know. This is a magic. It
Yeah.
happens. And
Yeah. No,
then
it's
what?
just literally what one does, like if you have a rath, and so the horses they have worked hard and everything.
Correct.
Now please ab shanti se so jao.
That's correct. Yes, you got the
We've done
exact
it.
picture. But
Yeah.
especially for people who are new seekers,
Uh,
this Ratha Kalpana is a very beautiful example
beautiful
to
one.
put you in the path.
Yeah.
Okay, and good, very good.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you've understood this clear. Okay,
Thank you.
there's another question here by Manikandan. Is thoughts arise due to likes and dislikes or due to the papam and punyam? Okay. See, there are different reasons why thoughts come into your mind. One is the main reason is your vasanas. Vasana means it is the hidden nature of your mind. Mind keeps on traveling from body to body, but your raga and dvesha continue. Your raga and dvesha depends on your papam and punyam. How much raga you will have towards the world depends on your punyam and papa. But that is all invisible. We only understand this nature only when through the scriptures only we know about this. So the thoughts rise due to the likes and dislikes you may have cultivated in your current life. That is the first level of thoughts. For example, you develop a habit of going for an exercise or a walk in the morning or having a cup of coffee in the morning. That is a habit. So your like towards having a coffee or a tea in the morning, it is a habit. So automatically the thought will come and you will have your cup of tea. So that is one layer of thoughts. The second layer of thought is because of your hidden nature of raga and dvesha, which is not clearly seen, which may not have been developed in this birth. Because your mind has developed certain qualities in the previous birth also. See, why some are interested in Vedanta in this birth and why some are not interested in this at all? It is because of your previous vasanas. You may have heard, that is what the Shastras are saying. You see, Shastra says, unless you have a vasana towards Vedanta study, you will never come to this talks at all. So, the nature of thoughts is decided by many factors. It depends on the environment also. Sometimes the environment around you pushes you to have certain thoughts in your own mind. Good environment, bad environment. You go to a temple, you get good thoughts. You go to some other shopping mall, you will wonder what all I should buy today. So there are different factors which affect your thoughts, but don't get involved with the thoughts. Main thing is you should say, okay, let the thoughts come. I will act as per some of the thoughts. My body will act, but never forget that I am a sakshi to the mind. That is extremely important when you are in the spiritual. Even suppose sometimes you may not be a sakshi all the time, but sometimes you must become aware. Oh, this was my mind. It took me for a complete ride. Most of us we are taken for a ride by our own mind. Either we get deluded or our raga pushes us into the world and then we get lost. But a seeker becomes aware again and again. Alertness is the central quality of a seeker. All the time being alert. If you're alert, what will happen? You will do the right things at the right time. See, whenever you are alert, you will say, okay, this is the time to do this. This is the time to do this. Now is not the time to do this. So that you will be in control of your life. Yeah, Shama, you have a question?
Important that I ask you at this stage. And this is literally, I'm just giving an illustration that suppose one has like every particular problem, like suppose you have a physical problem or whatever, you take paracetamol or this, and in a similar way, suppose you are in a difficult situation, family or life or whatever, it's an distressing situation, it is obligatory that you actually deal with that as well. You know, the fact
Yeah.
that you can come away. So, because otherwise, the longer you leave it,
Yes.
it will actually then spoil all your spiritual practice and whatever, no? So that has to be dealt with. It does not negate that. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, that's correct.
Mm,
See, Shama is talking from the medical angle.
mm.
If your physical body requires some help from a doctor, from medicines, you must take that because that is that you can't avoid it. Because, what she is saying is that times your thought processes should be in alignment with your physical condition of the body also.
And in this physical, I want to include the emotional as well, because many times it is the emotional. So some people might even need, like if you're suffering from severe anxiety, depression, due to whatever reason, you need to address that as well. You can't
So,
mix it up with your spiritual practice.
absolutely, you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
speaking, people who are depressed and so on, they cannot come into spiritual life at all. It's very difficult for them. Uh, but
But
there, what you're saying is absolutely right. You must take certain medicines which are important for to control your emotions and control. That is from a how to deal with your mind. So that is one
yeah,
aspect of it. The thought and this thing is from the spiritual background.
yeah. Thought and emotions is part of that. And
Yeah,
my observation and understanding about life so far is that regardless of our level of intelligence, we are sadly not very well equipped to understand our emotional health. And it
yeah.
can be very confusing. You might be mixing one with the other. So that was the main question, that to be very aware of that as well during, when we are looking at our thought process, to actually
Correct.
try and
Yes.
filter it out, categorize it, know which is which. So that's just, I wanted a clarification on that.
It's a
Thank you.
it's a good thing you brought it from the medical angle. I'm glad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh, Anybody else has any other question? I've covered most of the questions in the chat box. Uh, if there are no questions, then we will continue next week. with our session on Kathopanishad. And thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you, Secretary. Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste, Shekharji. Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you, Shekharji. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you, Shekharji.
Thank you, Bharat.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank